Okay, interview about knowledge management in growth aspiring technology-based startups. Interviewer Juha Saukkonen, Jamtli University of Applied Sciences, International Business and Business Development Director, ET, from a technology company that is developing novel technology for advanced materials. Was that correctly described?
That's pretty close to the truth, yeah.
Okay. So to start with, let's talk about kind of the intellectual property and knowledge that you already have. So to my understanding, which was yesterday's patent database, ESPASnet, you have 4 patents in force. Is that correct?
Well, yes and no. There are some group of patents that are directly owned by us, and then we are licensing 3 patents from VTT.
Okay, so 4 patents I found with your company name, and then you have more that were originally developed by the Finnish Science Center, and that's where the origin of the company is. So
yeah. When we started the company, we only had 1 patent, which is covering the main technology and the main products of ours, and then we also started to license the 3 other patents, and now we are continuously developing our patent portfolio, so that I believe that we have like 6 or 7 patents in process at the moment.
Okay. So if you kind of make a distinction between those existing patents and the new ones, are they kind of an auxiliary patents that are widening the concept of the original ones, or are they kind of a new knowledge in pure?
I would say that they are more on the new knowledge side. They are typically such patents that we have found a new way, let it be the production technology or the, let's say, the novel use of raw materials or something like that, which helps us to broaden our, let's say, product
portfolio.
How should I say it? Yes, those patents allows us to take our products to new areas outside the market that we were thinking in the first place.
Okay, and when you say area, you mean kind of an application area or the end products that could come out of the process one day?
Yes, that's exactly.
Okay. Whose responsibility? Originally you were a team of 3-4 people, right? When you started the company.
When we started, we were the 3 of us, 3 founders of our company. But I believe in 2 months after starting the company, we hired our first employee, and now at the moment we are 12 people.
Okay, so you're.
Oh, sorry. Now I said the name of the company.
Okay, that can be erased, and that will not be in any reports. But okay, so it sounds like at the start you were a team, and you are becoming an organization where people have clearly kind of a differing responsibilities. Whose responsibility it is to innovate at the moment? Is it still kind of a company-wide target, or is it kind of addressed to somebody or some people?
Start addressing the responsibility to innovate, then you are making a very bad decision. To innovate, that's the responsibility for everyone, of course. But the thing is that real innovation cannot be done by one person or even by 2 persons, but you need to involve more people there. And in a small company, that's quite easy because the sales, the marketing, development, the R&D, and even the management group of the company are all sitting in the same along the same corridor. We are not sitting in a corridor, but so
there are not yet, even though people have different titles in the business card, but there aren't any silos. Basically, everybody knows roughly what is happening in any front of the company.
Well, I most sincerely hope that is the situation.
Yeah. Okay. So you said kind of strategically to innovate and create new knowledge, that is everybody's responsibility, but does somebody then have the operational responsibility to manage the innovation process, and then of course the protocol of protecting that knowledge, and who is or who are those people?
Yeah, the innovation of course goes in two directions, from the technology or the science or from the R&D towards the product and finally to the market, but it also goes the other way, so that there is a market demand for medicines from the market, and then we adapt our technology according to that message, and new innovations can be created that way.
Yeah.
But whatever the case is, then always our management group who makes the decisions whether we should go into patenting or whether we should protect the new IP in some other ways.
And when you say management group, that is so the operative management, not the board, but the
not the board, but
operative management team.
Yes, which consists of 4 persons, us 3 founders, and then one person who has a long experience base from the forest industry.
Yep. Okay, so that is about kind of your own knowledge, but if I got it right, you are aiming to relatively large scale manufacturing compared to many technology startups. So obviously you have to also see what other people are developing at the same time, and you have to kind of open your knowledge a bit to the potential partners. So could you kind of firstly describe a bit that how actively and how are you kind of looking what other people are innovating in your area?
That's something that we do quite a lot, but the fact is that we should do it a little bit more still, because when you end up in the discussions with venture capital companies, for example, whether they start funding us or not, it's not enough to show them that okay, we have now something new, we have a good technology base and everything, and we have patents and so, but of course we need to show them that the possible competitors are not very close to us, and that means that we need to know what is happening around us.
And how many, by the way, how many kind of companies you definitely have to keep looking at? How many are they roughly? I mean, do we talk about few or tens or?
That's a good question.
I would kind of scale.
There is, I would say that there are like 3 or 4 that we need to have a eye on.
Okay. And what does this?
But then again, the way we follow, for example, what is happening in the patenting world, we don't that much follow the companies, but we follow certain things. Whether there is
keywords
in the area near to our core technology.
Yeah. Okay, and who is doing that in your organization, or is it kind of whoever has time, or does the responsibility even change, or how have you organized it?
Yeah, like I said, to innovate, that is the responsibility of everyone in a small company like ours, but to follow what is happening in the business environment of ours, that cannot be the responsibility of everyone, because then no one will take care of that.
Yeah.
So that responsibility is given to our chief research officer.
Chief research officer. Okay. And you say that is to a certain extent it's a patent analysis, so follow up of the patents using keywords, areas, and so on. Any other forms of kind of keeping your antennas out? Are you kind of looking at the publications done, or kind of science reports as well, or?
Actually, I would be the wrong person to answer the question how much we follow what is reported in the science side, but one, of course, very important source of information is our customers.
Yeah.
And the thing is that we are not the only one in this area developing a new material or new kinds of concepts.
So your customers are giving you a hint that company X out there is also proposing something like this, and then you start looking at what it might be.
That's the situation every now and then. But of course, that is something that if we get the message from our customers, then we are already too late, because then someone has already done something and has approached the customers and showed them that, okay, now we have this kind of technology or material or whatever.
Yeah.
So they are already quite ready with the product, so they are already competing with us. What we should do, of course, is to identify these companies, or if not companies, then let's say research units, the universities or whatever, well before that happens, so that especially if it's the case of a research unit, then maybe we could be their customer. We could be the one company who then commercialize what they have developed.
Yeah. So, but isn't it so that also most likely kind of your competitors have the same? I think it's very logical. They have the same process. So they visit the same customers, and then these customers tell that your company recently has talked about. So how do you protect? You have to open something of your knowledge to your customers, but somehow try to make sure that not too much leaks out to the competition. So what is your way of doing that? NDAs or something?
Well, yes, whenever we disclose any information that is even a little bit secret, so to speak, then we have the NDA for sure.
And customers have been so far happy to accept the NDAs?
Well, there are certain companies, especially those owned by US companies, that to have the NDA signed can be a long process. And then there is always a question that, okay, should we now postpone the discussions until we have the NDA, and then we have taken the fast track and started the discussion even without NDA. But the thing is that we don't tell anyone how in practice we produce the material. We don't tell them about the chemistry. We tell about the main raw materials, but we don't tell the thing that makes the process work. And that is a very, let's say, in a way, a clear line or easy decision, because it's not so much the customers who wants to know the details, but it's the companies who start the due diligence process before they make the financing decision.
Yeah.
And even to those companies, we don't tell the details.
Yeah. So when you think about it, have you really got something, how would I say, truly important knowledge from this customer interaction about other people's knowledge? Or are they more like, you said it comes a bit late, but what is the kind of a level of knowledge? Is it more like a hint that you then start searching more? Or
yeah, it's for sure, it's only a hint.
Yeah. They also have NDAs, most likely.
They have NDAs, and well, they probably tell as much about their offering as we are telling about ours. So that's very basic information, more about the functionality of the product, not so much about how it's made or which raw materials are used or that kind of things.
And if I got it right, you also you have developed kind of you are the one who are developing processes and of course the product concepts, but you need to talk to technology providers who would be then providing machinery to make that happen. Is that correct?
Yep. That is correct.
How do you then kind of do you co-create, do you co-innovate with those guys, and or on the other hand, how are you protecting your secret sauce in that interaction then?
Yeah, that is a big challenge, because the thing is that we have a novel technology, and in order to utilize the competencies and the whole offering portfolio of these machine suppliers, we need to open our technology, because otherwise they cannot help us with that.
Yeah, they cannot build on it. Yeah.
but the problem there, of course, is that their target is then to have the technology available, know how these kind of machines are built, and then, of course, they want to sell as many machines as possible, which can be a benefit of ours if we can build a good, let's say, licensing business with other paper producers. But of course, it's also a risk that if our IP is not strong enough, then there will be competitors of ours in the market in the coming years.
But so far, you haven't seen any activity that they would have started patenting something that you feel like, but isn't this our knowledge?
Yeah, the situation is such that there is one machinery provider who has done their own R&D on this field. Okay. They have somewhat different approach to the technology. So there is not, let's say, at least we haven't found any IP activity that would put our business in risk. Yeah.
But you would not.
But still, one important thing is, and this is now, if we have this discussion, let's say half a year later, it would be easier to say how we do things, because at the moment we don't still know how we will do this, because there are two extremes. We can partner with one machine supplier and do the collaboration in scaling up our technology, or the other extreme is that we start buying parts of the processes from different suppliers, so that no one will get a grasp of the whole technology. The latter one is much more complicated route, but it would of course protect our IP.
Yeah. I mean, kind of a power-wise or position-wise, you would be the spider in the web.
Yes.
And in the other one, everybody could start there are many spiders making their own web, and you just have to try to get still the money coming your way in long run. So.
Yeah. It has to do with the licensing model.
Yeah. So two options. One is kind of a tight collaboration with one, and kind of a co-creation, co-development with them, or then this kind of a scattered partner strategy or something?
Yeah.
And you are still kind of struggling with the two views, and any of them is possible at the moment?
Any of these are possible, or there can be something in between these two extremes.
Yeah.
But the thing is that it depends so much on how we will do the scaling up in practice. And let's not go into that in too much of the detail now, but it will affect the collaboration models a lot.
Okay. So you said that you should do certain knowledge management thing. In the very beginning of the discussion, you said you should do even more of knowledge management. So if we take we divide the knowledge management into two segments. One is the internal things happening inside the company. Is there something specific that you should see happening more inside the company, or something that you are not doing at all but you should do? And of course, the other dimension is external. Is there something that you would like to do that reaches outside the company, either with partners or competitors or customers, that you are not doing enough or well enough?
Well, if I start from the internal activities, when we started the company, then we decided that we will not make the same mistakes that many companies do and many startups do, that we just start patenting things.
Yeah.
But we need to have a clear vision what kind of patent portfolio we need, and we need to adjust that portfolio always according to if the business model changes, then it will have an effect on the patent portfolio as well. That was a clear decision.
So you started from the vision, what kind of a freedom to operate is needed to make business, and then you decided what is the role of the patents to make that happen?
Well, freedom to operate is in the other way. The other side, of course, is that how we prevent others to do the same thing. But that was the decision we made in the beginning. The challenge is that we haven't followed the decision. So what happens when you are in hurry? You find a new way how to do something, or you solve a problem with a new clever way, and then you decide that, hey, let's patent this.
Yeah.
And that's the wrong way of doing things, because then you have, let's say, individual patents that don't like support each other. They don't create the web. They create something else. Yeah. And that's something that we should pay more attention to. And actually, last year we made IP strategy for our company, and that will help us.
Sorry, the IP
strategy.
Yeah.
And we will follow what we then decided that we will do this thing in the future in a much clever way than what we have done so far. But the problem is that when you are a startup company, a small company, everyone is in a hurry, and the problem is that to build a strategy, even an IP strategy, you need to have several persons sitting around the table 3 hours at a time for five times, and to find the time for that is a challenge.
Yeah, it's interesting because I talked to one machinery company, and we asked about the kind of a knowledge management and IP management, and they said that they are a spin-off from a stock-listed technology company. They said, well, we think we have the IP processes well in shape because we have this legacy of this big company. And then we discussed, and it was all about basically the operational side of patenting or trademarking or whatever utility models or design. But they did not mention the word IP strategy at all. So I think that you have a more kind of a business-driven knowledge management than knowledge itself that would be driving the processes.
Yeah, or at least should be driving the process.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to say how things should be done than to do things according to that.
Yeah. And the other dimension, I have made this kind of a lovely four-field typology that if one dimension is whether it's internal or external action, the other one is operational and strategic. But we don't have to go to that one because you are clearly telling about strategic issues and you are telling about operational. But if you go back to this external dimension, what is the things that you feel you could do more, you should do more, or better in what comes to IP, knowledge action with people and companies outside your own team?
Well, especially in the future, once we have launched our first products to the market, and once we have upscaled the production to industrial level, then we will have time, and then we'll need to concentrate more on building, let's say, new technologies or new competence, and to create new kinds of products to the market.
Yeah.
And we will still be a small company. Then we will not have a huge R&D department.
Yeah.
So what we should do is that we should collaborate more with the university and with the research institutes to let them be the inventors, or let them be the inventors, and then we will then take those ideas to the market.
So if I guess you have not seen. I think I'm not very proud of my own makings, but based on one other research project, I created this kind of a two-loop model of startup development. That now you have your kind of the thing that you have been developing so far. You're about to scale it, and it starts selling, it starts widening, and then you feed the money coming from that process to kind of start the next big thing. That there is kind of a growth loop, but you have to kind of have the startup loop where you go back into science. But they are kind of to a certain extent separate loops that only collide in the resources.
Yes, and can be a challenge. But then again, the resource challenge is smaller when you utilize external research groups in that. And the external groups, of course, are more involved in the long-term R&D loop.
Yes.
But the thing is that if we had this interview like 3 years ago, my answer would have been quite a bit different, because then we weren't thinking about the possible licensing business model that much.
Yeah.
But if we'll go into that, then what we need to do is that when you start licensing the existing IP, the existing knowledge and the existing brands or whatever that already exists, then at the same time you need to prepare yourself for the negotiations after the licensing period, when you need to have something new to offer.
Yeah. So, and what is kind of roughly what is your idea? Well, we know that patents protect you in theory or in practice even 20 years from now, but what do you think is the kind of a realistic life cycle in modern manufacturing when the patent still has a lot of commercial power? Is it kind of a 5 to 10 or something? How fast is the development here in this field?
I would say that if you have a technology that is protected by patents and the technology is well adopted by the market, so that everyone sees that okay, now there is a market opportunity, and that company is serving the market with their offering. But if the market demand is growing, then of course there will be other companies who are interested in that business opportunity, and they might develop something similar, something close to us, that in practice means that they either need to license the technology from us, or they need to go around our IP in one way or another. And we all know that can be done. It might take years, hopefully many years, but there is no patent in the world that can be cannot be like fast in a way. But what I was trying to say is that more important than that, I would say, is that we need to be aware of companies and the development that is being done to serve the same purpose, the same demand, but with totally different type of technology than ours. Yeah. Because that change can be much more radical towards us than just someone bringing a somewhat similar product to the market. Yeah,
they are the other ones are the ones that you mentioned. The last are the easier to follow and easier to understand, but then on the other hand, these others can make your approach totally obsolete if they are truly radical and they have some novel idea. So yes, it's not the competition tends to be volatile when we deal with true groundbreaking technologies and so on. Hey, Esa, our time is running out, and just to conclude, did you have time to look at the email I sent you yesterday?
I saw the title.
TRL and MRL. Are you close to can you open that file? Is it close to you, or are you still in the car?
I'm still in the car, but I'm already in the parking lot, so if I walk to my office, it will take like 1 minute. Then I can.
Yeah, because this is, I think, one of the key issues we will discuss in one upcoming paper.
Okay.
TRL and MRL.
That sounds nice acronym. Not understanding at all what it means. But
you understand much more what it means when you open the file.
Yes, I'll do that in a minute. So what's the weather like in Jyväskylä?
-12.5 this morning, clear sky, sun shining, northern lights have been up last night. Of course, I was sleeping already. So lovely. And of course, I have the teaching for master's adult students this evening and tomorrow the whole day. Monday, I fly to Austin, Texas, and so on.
That sounds good.
That sounds good. I asked my US colleague any hints when I go to Texas. I was like, places to see and so on. He said, remember one thing, a man does not order fancy drinks in Texas. Because you might find yourself in a very strange kind of company after that. So I said, thanks for that. So I guess bourbon, whiskey and beer are allowed.
That would be the safe choice.
Funny for somebody who doesn't drink at all, basically, but
you can always order the things.
Yeah, order to the next guy. That's even worse.
How long are you staying there?
It's kind of a 1 week trip. 2 days and a half are lost for traveling. So,
okay.
And the bloody hell, the biggest single American town with no major league sports of any kind. So I only saw that there is one college level baseball game on Tuesday evening. So.
But San Antonio is not that far.
It's too far concerning my schedule, and Chicago or Florida and these guys are not coming too close. So that would have been lovely to see Lauri Markkanen on action, but not this time.
Oh, yeah.
But on the other hand, he's not in action right now.
Sorry, he's not?
He's injured. He did not play the last 2 games, so.
Oh, okay.
Even worse if you plan beforehand and buy a ticket and then he's not there, so let it be. Did you find one?
I'm just trying to find your...
Yesterday morning it was.
Okay. Oh. Huh. Yep. The teams for tomorrow.
Yep. And only the picture, that should be the Word file. Does it open?
It opens slowly, but opens. Anyhow.
Maybe it should have been some kind of a smaller format, so I don't know how many bytes it is. But
the problem is that there is nothing on the file.
There's nothing on the file?
Blank. No, it's a TRL Emerald.
Yeah?
Read only, but there is like one object, but it
Object does not open.
show it.
Okay, give me half a minute. I'll take my computer. Okay, so what is normally the best format to put it into? Let me see. TRL, MRL. Desktop and is PDF a better format? What do you think? Add file. Okay, I send you the PDF version. Did it come through?
Yes. Now it's here.
Now it's there. Does it open?
Yep.
Okay, so you may have heard, or you may not have heard, but these are the instruments very often used in the technology business world, and even when talking with investors. And one of the statements we are saying that too many companies, this is what we have already observed as kind of with the secondary data, but in our own research, that very many companies are ignoring the right side of the picture, which is that when you are developing a concept or a technology or one unit of something, then you are facing terrible problems when you think that, okay, now this should be manufactured in industrial scale at reasonable cost and so on. So basically, of course, as you can see, this have been originally developed by North American Space Administration, Department of Defense, and so on. So when you started the company, in which level were you then? Because you had some pre-research done at the National Science Center. So where would you say, what kind of a validation had been done when the company got started?
Yeah. First of all, I need to say that I feel a little bit like an idiot now. Of course, I knew what TRL is.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So, okay. Do you mean on the TRL or in
TRL?
Okay.
Let's start with that.
Yeah. Okay. We then on the level 5.
Okay, so up to 5 had been done on a kind of as a scientific research without yet having the commercial. Of course, there was an idea of what is the application area and what might be the customers, but nobody was yet working with those customers.
Well, when we started the company, we had already contacted the customers. We knew that the market demand is there. We knew how the process can be scaled from lab to pilot scale. But since the TRL level 6 would mean that we have a prototype demonstration in a relevant environment, I would say that means that then you have already done the production in continuous process and not in the lab process.
That's how I understand it, yes.
Yes, so that means that we were on the level 5, but we are very different from many other startups, especially startups coming from the research institutes or from the university, because our thing didn't start with the technology.
Yeah.
Our thing started with the market demand, and then we found the technology, how to meet the needs of the market.
Yeah, so it was not innovation because of innovation.
No, it was innovation because there was a demand.
Okay. And where would you say, have you gone well, your company is now like 4 years old, is it so? As a company?
Actually, we will have our 3rd anniversary in a month. So.
Okay. And in 3 years, have you gone up to TRL 9, so kind of a successful production lots done in production environments, or is that still in the waiting? Kind of has it been concept-wise and technology-wise done?
Well, I let you decide.
Yeah.
But how I would say this is that we have shown the technology that it works. We have tested our product in the market.
Yeah.
They are well adopted there. Can I say that we are on the level 9? That's a good question because we are not yet in the production phase. We know how the production is done, and so, but we are still in the pilot scale. But this is on technology readiness level. I would still say that we are on the level 9 already.
That's my feeling, and of course this wording in here, because basically this is originally developed for a single space mission, so sending one rocket out to moon, and it will never be duplicated exactly the same way. But where are you in the manufacturing readiness level, which to many companies' surprise, it's something different, but you have I happen to know you have industry expertise, so when did you start working with these manufacturing concepts? So if you read it quite interestingly, if you take TRL level 9, to my understanding, it equals quite much the levels 2 and 3 in MRL. Do you agree? Or even 4?
Sorry, I need to read what this says. So I would say that we are much higher, because if you think about the level 5, basic capability demonstrated. Well, yes, we have demonstrated the technology in our pilot machine, which is a real process, but only small.
Yeah.
Then 6 is process optimized for production rate or production equipment. Okay, that's a good question.
So you are kind of a 5.5 or 6 there.
Yeah, for sure not higher than 6, but 5.5 might be a good average in a way. Yeah.
But the big question, okay, your story is a bit unique. You have your unique background, but what level, talking about if you would give any hint to anybody else working with a novel technology, and at which level of the TRL scale should you start thinking already about the manufacturing issues, kind of a continuous, or of course process industry is one thing, but even if we are making pieces of something, that when is too late or when it's too early to start thinking of manufacturing, or is it never too early?
For sure it can be too early, because if you don't know the customers, if you don't need the potential there, you cannot start thinking about scaling up the production, because you don't know in which scale or what scale should be your target.
Yeah.
And another thing is that you need to take the product or the technology up to certain level, so that you need to know yourself that there are certain things that are for sure.
Yeah, and then you can start talking with the manufacturing partners, because they cannot give any reasonable comment if there is not some basic things kind of cleared out.
Yeah, that's the case.
Yeah.
But from the experience now, I could say that one thing that should be started early enough is that if you need to build this kind of a spider web, or if you need to find a partner for production of the material, then those discussions should be started as early as possible. Because if you are to build a kind of a collaboration model between a small startup and with a huge production company, it's like billion times bigger than you are.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not billion, but anyhow, then it can be such a cultural challenge in the big company that you need to start preparing them for the idea that, hey, now we'll collaborate with one of these big companies, not just buying their IPR, but really to build the business together.
Yeah.
There are probably big differences between different countries.
Yeah. But it was quite shocking. We found out when we did the background study that 75% roughly of, for example, Kickstarter funded through kind of innovative startups never make the product they were planning to make, or at least it doesn't come with the properties they were promising, or for sure it doesn't come in time. Mostly because they just work on the technology readiness, and there is nobody to give them any kind of a hints, can this be manufactured or not. But your team had manufacturing industry experience, so maybe you have been able to kind of go to both, how do I say, sleeves at the same time a bit.
Well, yes, we as founders, we have background in this technology or in this industry.
Yeah.
So we know how things go. But in addition to that, and this is actually a good advice for other startups, is that if you can find such persons from your, let's say, time with those guys, because you can learn so much. And it's not only about learning about how things should be done, but you also get ideas with whom it might be useful to start the discussion and collaboration and start things. Because if you only the worst case would be that you have 3 young founders coming from the university who doesn't have any contacts to the industry, and they try to solve the problems and challenges just by themselves, then nothing will come out.
Yeah, and then somebody, they go too far, they go to TRL 9, they are able to make a lovely prototype, and then the first person ever who has some kind of manufacturing experience, you shouldn't be doing this, you should go back to level X and kind of create again, and then they lose motivation or they do not believe, and then they run out of time, motivation, or even money to make a very complicated solution to be manufactured. Okay, so your plan is that you are now 5.5 on MRL, and how much more time is needed to get to the top? You hope 1 year will do.
Our target is that in 1 year and a half we have upscaled our technology to industrial level. So then we need to be on the level.
Okay. Last little question. You said when the company was started, you started immediately from level 6. How long time was spent there in the research unit from level 1 to 5? So how long has been the total story of traveling these scales through? So when was the first discussions or first findings in the research? Even though you say it was demand originated, or we can say, okay, when was the demand identified? When did you get an idea there is an opportunity here?
Well, I believe I started to follow the discussion in the media related to our business already in 2012 or something like that. Then there was the first weak signals. Then in 2013 or 2013, then there was some rumors about the legislation that would help us in bringing a new product to the market, and then we started to really work with this subject. But the thing is that we didn't develop technology starting from November 2014. The technology base has been developed in the research institute since 2006 or something like that. Now what we did was that we, let's say, we built on that knowledge base and on that technology, but found the solution. Or actually, we started from the demand that we need to produce this and this kind of material, and that is what we have protected.
And then then you happen to know, because you were part of the same institute, that some steps on the technology readiness had already been taken, and now you combine that work with your vision of the demand. And that's how you were able to go relatively quickly up the scale, if I get it. And now you say that for your future innovation, you have to start screening what has been done by universities, researchers on the bottom end of the TRL, that you can then start from, not from zero, but something that can be a bit higher speed to the market then. Okay, good.
That's okay. So we need to, in a way, like you said earlier, we need to repeat what we have done. But it will not be like that we take something completely different and start developing that with the university. But it has to have some link to what we are doing. It can be, for example, developing a new, more sustainable raw material or something like that. And then we want to be the first ones to take that kind of a thing into use.
Alrighty. Well, sorry, Esa has like always taken longer than expected, so I will now close the recording, and you will get, of course, the summary of our findings long before any journal paper or anything comes out, so that might give ideas for your own work. And I will send you this 1-2-cycle model just because I want to spread it out to somebody who might understand it. And there are not many. There are not many. Does it tell
Yeah.
about the model or the people around? I don't know.
Yeah, I'll appreciate you sending it, and I'll appreciate the kind words you are saying.
Okay. So